This is being recorded, so if there's anything you want to say that's incriminating, I would, think twice about it if I were you.
Megatron, I'm sure, has a few things that he would.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't wait for this commentary. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll give the official introduction. Live from the Cantina, here we are on a Tuesday night. We're here to talk about the Obi-Wan series, episodes 1 and 2, as well as all the celebration reveals, tons of trailers, as well as product. So we're going to talk through all that, have some fun. We'll get done around 3 a.m. We'll see how it goes. No, that's not happening. That's not happening. My kids will come down looking for me before then. But we've got Jaime, we've got Thor here in the Zoom room. We've got all kinds of friends hanging out with us over on Facebook. Let's see, we've got Johnny and let's see, Christopher and Dan. Man, all kinds of other folks hiding in the secret places. I can see you, but you don't know it. It's a new app I've downloaded on Facebook. It's called the Big Brother app. But don't look it up. No, you're good. No, we can't see you, but we're glad you're hanging out with us. But we are going to do a lot of different things tonight, as I've already alluded to. With it being, 45th anniversary of Star Wars, and then Celebration hitting this weekend. I mean, this was just a massive Star Wars weekend, if you will, that we just came through. Obviously the big thing was the Obi-Wan series drop. So let me ask you guys, and those over on the Facebook side, feel free to chime in. I know Jaime's already alluded to it. How many of you were like watched it as soon as it dropped, or how many of you kind of waited? How many of you have watched both episodes, or what did you do? What about you, Thor?
I've watched it both of them twice.
Okay, all right. So you have great insight for us tonight. All right, I'm ready.
I waited till it dropped that night and watched it, and I turned around and watched it again. So I can really kind of like.
Did you watch it as soon as it dropped? Because I knew they dropped it earlier than they usually do.
So. Yeah, I think they dropped it at like 9, but I didn't know that until like 11:30, and so I watched it at about 12.
Okay, yeah. And Jaime, you said you waited to watch them?
I waited about maybe 2 days before I watched it. I just made sure everybody was out of the house.
Gotcha.
And I just didn't want to be bothered, and I just really wanted to focus on it, and just kind of take it all in. Oh. And it was everything that I hoped for, and it was everything that I did not thought it would happen, and it was just amazing. It was a good series. I mean, the first 2 episodes were just really great. I hope it just continues.
Yeah,
because it just really touches back.
Yeah, and I know you commented on that a little earlier, and we'll come back to kind of the bridge between. Over on Facebook, Christopher says, he watched as soon as it dropped, went through both episodes. A lot of folks that were at Celebration, got to watch it live there. I think they had to have a certain ticket or something like that, but that would have been cool to watch it with all those folks. I waited till Friday night until my family was here, so we watched it as a family and everything. So it was cool. I tell you what, though, and maybe you guys are like me, I stayed off social media though all day Friday because I knew a lot of people had already watched it, and I didn't want any spoilers or any of that stuff. It was hard. I kept logging in. I was like, oh no, I don't look at that. I don't look at that. I had to look up some stuff at YouTube for work, posting some videos and stuff. And I'd log in and I'd look like at the top of the computer and try to log in without looking down, because I knew I'd see some kind of preview image on a video that would lead me astray or something. So the great heights that we go to just to keep our minds clear of spoilers. Mm-hmm. So I'll never forget when I went and saw Rise of Skywalker, stayed clear of all the spoilers, all this stuff, went to the premiere in our local town, and they started it, and you could hear everything but no video. So we heard the first 10 minutes, packed movie theater with no video, and everybody was just going, la, la. We don't want to hear it. We can't see it. So that was a vain attempt of trying not to be spoiled, but oh well. All right, so we had that drop. You guys did well. You watched them, everything. What do you guys want to do first? Do you want to go ahead and jump into those episodes, or you want to talk about some of the reveals that we had from Celebration, from the spoilers to the products? I'll leave it. What do you two guys think, since you're hanging out with us here? You want to go straight to the episodes or talk about some of the reveals?
I think if you're going to go for it, you just start from the beginning and the reveals and everything else, and then go right into the episodes. But just before we go any further, Chip and Dale. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen Chip and Dale.
Yeah, we watched.
There's so many. It's so crazy that I mean, I don't know if it's for little kids. I'm pretty sure it's probably not, but it's so much fun because there's so many little details in the background. You go, oh yeah, I remember that, or yeah. So I don't want to take away from what we're talking about, but Chip and Dale's was pretty funny to watch because there was just so many different parts from different movies embedded in it, and it was just really neat, you know.
Yeah, we watched it. Awesome. I thought the same too. Really big on the nostalgia, connecting to the old as well as all those little lines. What were you saying, Thor? Sorry, man.
Oh, I'm just saying I haven't got to see it. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's
to see all that stuff in there.
It's a good one just to sit down and just have some fun, you know.
Right.
Check out and let it roll through. I mean, there's some good stuff out there on Disney Plus. There's also some crazy stuff, but that's a different story for a different day. Well, let's do this. Let's talk because I know we want to spend a lot of time on those two episodes. So let's just jump into those, and then if that's cool with y'all, and then as we have time, then we'll do the product reveals and the other trailers.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good.
So first episode, I'll have to say, man, I got a little teary-eyed watching that little recap, when they were kind of giving us the whole update on Obi-Wan's journey with Anakin and all that stuff, and seeing all that prequel highlights, and the music set to it, and cut scenes from this and that. I was like, man, this is good. It's setting the table for us. So I don't know if it kind of pulled at you guys' heartstrings or not, but it got me in the feels, that's for sure. So
it definitely did me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it
like, oh my gosh, yes.
It set the stage to get you ready. The final minute or 30 seconds to get you right there and ready to, to expect everything, and then the things that you could not expect. Right. And I think that was really, really awesome. They really got you hyped up the last minute or so to get you there. And that was really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right. Yeah, exactly. Like, so you think of it like right at that point, it gave a 10-year lapse and then start.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
William jumped in the room with us while we were talking. William, welcome, buddy. We're just started talking about episode 1 of Obi-Wan, and that little recap that we got at the beginning from the prequels. Kind of, we were talking about, tugged at our heartstrings and everything. So
yeah, it did.
So, but then obviously we go through that, and then we jump into the Jedi Temple, and you see some younglings. All right, now how many of you thought, okay, we're going to see a different point of view of Anakin wiping these kids out or something? I did.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, we're going to see that blue saber come across, but then we see though that these kiddos actually escape. So, at first I thought it was kind of I don't want to say throwaway scene, but maybe just a way to bridge, reminding us where we were and all this stuff. But on my second watch, I'm like you, Thor, I've seen it a couple of different times. I went and looked, and the primary, I guess you could say, youngling looks a lot like what a young Reva would look like. Her hair, everything, and just kind of how she took charge of the situation. She told all the younglings, what are we going to do? We're going to run. So that's something in her story. If I'm correct, that's something in her story that I think is going to come back. And we're probably seeing a little bit of that already in those first 2 episodes. Yeah.
And that brings the basis of the Inquisitor to hunt down those who escaped, and puts that into progression.
Right. And what, if I'm not mistaken, Obi-Wan said it there, and we've kind of know it from Rebels and other things too, but Inquisitors were former Jedi, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which obviously they've got Force abilities and things like that, but there's something distinct about her because, they treat her like garbage. The others do. And granted, she's a lot more ruthless than they are too, though. So,
yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk some more about that. So let's just open it up, man. Let's just think about that first episode, and as you kind of process it, we've set the table. We've watched. We've thought about the recap. We saw where the Jedi Temple. The kiddos are on the run. We find Obi-Wan doing what he's doing. Anything stand out in that first episode? He's like, man, I got to talk about this. Or I love this. Or this really hit me where it means something. When you think about that first episode. Or if you want to go both episodes, you can, because really it's all one unit. So whatever hits you, we'll just open it up that way.
I think the fact that Obi-Wan resisted, coming out, even when he was approached by that one Jedi and called him master in the middle of the dark, and kept to his guns about, protecting Luke or overseeing Luke, and just kept to his guns and said, no, there's no way I'm going to do this.
Right.
But then the fact that Leia was gone, and he just felt like, no, I still didn't want to, but yet he knew the purpose of Leia, almost like he knew that that he had to break this promise in order to make sure that she was safe as well, and the integrity of his commitment. Right. That was,
Yeah. On one side, I agree with you, Jaime, but the other side, man, I feel like he had slipped in just this funk, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that one guy, the Jedi that's on Tatooine, they're trying to hunt and everything, which, and he finds Obi-Wan or Ben, and he's saying, where you been? What's happened to you and all this stuff? And he says that line, and then you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the same line that Luke says in The Last Jedi to Rey, but I think he said something like, it's time for the Jedi to die, or the Jedi are no more, maybe something like that. And I was like, oh, good grief. We're there.
Yeah, he seemed to kind of let some of his, I guess, mastery of the Force kind of go away too. It showed it later on in the show too.
Yeah.
He had to concentrate a lot more than he normally would have in any other situation.
Yeah, he really seemed like he had closed himself off to it. Trying to hide himself away and all those things. And like you said, a little bit later, we see him have to break through that wall to do something. Speaking of that. It looks like Steve's jumped in on us. What's up, Steve? Welcome to the Obi-Wan discussion. So, or maybe he's just...
I'm sorry, what's happening? I was just stepping in to listen and support.
You're such a good listener and supporter.
I try to be.
I'll send you my Venmo stuff so you can really support me.
Well, all right. Send that on over.
So
I'll pass it along. I'll pass it along to interested parties.
Well, hey, Jaime just kind of started it off, man, just talking about where Ben's at in episode 1, and what he's made comments like the Jedi are no more, or go along, lead a normal life, when he tells that one Jedi that still got a little fight in him that the Inquisitors are looking for. What are some of your thoughts as you find Obi-Wan, if you don't mind commenting? You find Obi-Wan there at the beginning of the first episode?
I think it's where he needs to be. I think he's got to be living a quiet life, and there's obviously the mission of watching out for Luke, but also the trying to not stand out that has to be done if you're going to properly hide out. I think that we saw how far he was willing to go eventually to sacrifice, whatever, to stay hidden for the sake of Luke. He obviously believes that Luke is maybe not the chosen one, or at least the son. He believed that Anakin was the chosen one. And so Luke, being his son, obviously has a destiny beyond that. And so I think he's right where he needs to be. But I also think there's a brokenness there to him. Obi-Wan believed in the Jedi. That was his biggest downfall as you get into the prequels, is he believed in the Jedi. He believed in the code. We see that all the way back in episode 1, where he tells Qui-Gon, if you just follow the code, you'd be a master already. You'd be on the council. And so his world shattered. And I love what they're doing. They're with kind of bringing in some of John Jackson Miller stuff, where Obi-Wan is kind of trying to communicate with Qui-Gon, but obviously not getting anything, So So I think that's a good move. I think anything you can do to lean toward that John Jackson Miller novel is the way to go. But we'll see how it continues to go now that he went off world in that second episode.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is what, a 6-part deal. We're going to get a lot of goodness, I think, from it. I hope from it. But I'm kind of like you, Steve, and like the rest of you guys. Of course, he's got a mission. He wants to protect Luke. But I really think more so he's fallen into just this more funk now. He's broken. I mean, he's haunted by nightmares of Anakin. He's reaching out to Qui-Gon with no answer. I mean, this has been going on for 10 years. I mean, I know he's wanting to protect, Luke at all costs and be on the down low, so to speak. But I mean, he's embraced that so much that it's robbed him of his identity, really. The Obi-Wan of the past, and when Bail Organa and them reach out to him, once, we'll get back to that, I guess, when Leia's kidnapped, he would have sprung to action. And granted, he realizes the Luke thing, he's got to watch Luke, but, I don't, what is it they say about her? She's just as important as he is, it's pretty haunting. So, all right. Other comments or highlight things from that first episode or so. I know Jaime's kind of stirred the pot. Anything, Thor or William, you want to throw out there we can chase a little bit before we kind of run down through some things?
No, but Leia's kind of a wild child.
Yeah.
She's a lot like Princess Leia.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job casting that little one. So
yeah.
Yes.
I'm wondering if Obi-Wan Kenobi knew if he knew about Luke, but did he know about Princess Leia, and she had the same capabilities and the same importance?
Right, because he obviously knew she was out there, but didn't know if she was gonna.
Well, he was there when she was born.
Yeah, but he didn't know if she was gonna show, as using Owen's words, if she would have those abilities. Which, why not? I mean, why would you just gravitate towards the boy? I mean, there was
but because that was Obi-Wan's mission, that was his mandate. Like you can't. If I have one thing that kind of irks me at all, not irk is a bad word, but that puts me off with the modern Star Wars storytelling is they just kind of make up their own rules a lot of times and ignore the processes of what may have come before. And so it ends up being more like fan fiction than the Star Wars story in the vein of telling a Star Wars story. Obi-Wan had his mission. His mandate was, I will take the boy and watch after him. And that's what he said on that ship to Yoda, to Bail Organa. And the idea was to keep them separated and to keep them secret, because if you go on to Return the Jedi, Anakin knew as I did. Their Emperor knew as Anakin did. If he were to have any offspring, they would be powerful and be able to be used against him. So the mission is not just to stay hidden for Obi-Wan's survival's sake, but for Luke's sake. And it doesn't have anything to do with Luke being a potential great Jedi, but we know it does. We know that he's their first line, because when you get to Empire, that boy was our only hope. Yoda says, no, there is another. And he's referring then to Leia. That's what, that's the reveal in Return of the Jedi. So, but Obi-Wan had his mind set on, I'm going to train this boy, as he told Owen, I've got to train him when he gets old enough. Yeah. So he had his mindset, I'm going to train this kid to be a Jedi, to right what's wrong. And nothing was to sway him from that mission. So the idea of throwing Leia into this situation in danger, Luke had to stay hidden. Luke, as a Skywalker, had to stay anonymous for Star Wars to matter. The first movie. Leia she starts out that film in the public spotlight. She's the Princess of Alderaan. She's a senator. She's all these things. And so we get to see this little child do that. I don't think that Obi-Wan ends up going after her because he thinks she has any potential or not. I think it's because Bail Organa showed up.
It's for his friend.
Yeah.
He played him.
And that's the only reason why I was saying it's, because that's when Yoda tells him, no, there is another. And so that's the only reason why I saw it. That's the focus. But yeah, you make a great point, Steve. His commitment and his instructions were to look over Luke. And that makes a great point. The only reason why I said that was because, when Yoda told him that, no, there is another. Yoda knew of her potential. I'm just wondering if Obi-Wan knew.
Yeah, because he had obviously bought in lock, stock, and barrel. Luke is the one. Yoda,
right?
Steve directed it. Helped us remember. Hey, Yoda thought, hey, there's still another out there. let's not forget about Leia.
But I think the plan. I really do, though. When you think of it, though, and this is getting into the genius of Lucas Star Wars storytelling, George Lucas Star Wars storytelling.
Not me, George Lucas.
Right. For Luke to be the anonymous kid in the background, to come out of nowhere the way he did, for Obi-Wan to be ready to train him when it was time and all that good stuff, and Leia hiding in plain sight, never tapping into the Force, never being, never showing any Force sensitivity, because her mind was never in that general direction. Her mindset was to grow, be that spunky kid, be the senator, and she was a tough nut right from the get-go. But Darth Vader, only you could be so bold. Like, she's talking to Darth Vader like he didn't just choke a man out, and so that is kind of the whole thing with her is hide her in plain sight. She takes the name Organa. She's not Skywalker. She's not Naberi. She is Leia Organa. And for her, she can show no signs of the Force. But had things not worked out with Luke, they're able to go to her and then say, here's your full story, sister. And there's a good chance that she might have embraced it quicker. There's a good chance she may have just said, nope, we're going to continue on with the rebellion the way we do, because in the old EU, and even now, canonically, because of the sequel trilogy, she only went so far with her Jedi training, before she said, this isn't me. I'm not doing this anymore. So she had a different mindset about how to save the galaxy.
Yeah, she's definitely, and the little one that they had cast definitely portrayed her well as a young one too. That strong-minded, and that mindset and view there. Let's see, we got somebody, gentleman, looks like be Johnny here. Well, what did you guys? It's good that Steve's here, because maybe he can help solve the mystery. We first see Obi-Wan. He's playing butcher. This is like on-site butcher shop. Was that a hyperspace whale that was out in the middle of the desert? What'd you guys think about?
That's what I thought it might have been. I was looking at him like, that's a little bit more like a stingray.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess it could be. And that's that was one of the things that I questioned myself too when going over it again. I was like really looking at what it was that they were dissecting there for food. And I'm like, that could be potentially. Like, I just, being the mass size that it was, and I'm like, maybe that really is.
That's what I was thinking.
It would make sense to me.
We run into that in Rebels with Ezra and them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A couple times at least.
Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, that's why we're kind of pulling this into the live action. But even if it's not a hyperspace whale,
well, I think what you're looking at is they've cut away a lot of ribs and stuff. There's some people saying, because from a distance you can kind of see the head, and it looks like a bit smaller, albeit a bit smaller than the one we saw in Mando, a crate dragon.
You think so?
That's what some people are saying.
See, I don't know.
It looks an awful lot like a manta ray, really.
Right, right, and some of the things some of the appendages and stuff that are trailing off. I think I recall someone actually saying before we got started that would be one of the hyperspace whales. So I'm not 100% sure. I kind of immediately assumed that was what it was when I saw it.
Which I was thought, again, connecting the tissue from the animated stuff to this, because we don't run into that anywhere else.
Purgles is what they're called. Purgles.
It doesn't, and you say that name, doesn't Bail Organa say that? when he's talking about when he's looking at little Leia and they're looking out and he says, when I was little, I used to want to go out there and chase after.
Yeah, he tells Leia that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, he's bringing that word up. We're getting a possibly an appearance of one. I don't know. It was just something neat. I was like, what in the world are they doing out in the middle of the desert on this beast, cutting him up? They're going to be going at it for a while. What is this thing? So pretty cool little nugget they dropped in there on us.
Well, whatever it is, I'm never going into the sand again. I'm telling you that. Ocean, now the sand. I'm just going to save concrete, I guess. At this point, because it was big.
Beach umbrella is not going to protect you from the hyperspace whale when it comes down. That's
oh boy.
Well, what'd you guys think about Obi-Wan, his little interaction with the Jawa there? That was pretty cool. That's what you kind of see that he's still got a little bit of a personality to him when he's interacting with, was it Tika? I think the Jawa's name was. Had the little is it the little toys? Is it a skyhopper? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That you see Luke playing with when he, he's a older adolescent even.
Yeah. Then Obi, I think maybe the guys on Rebel Force Radio said this, something about Santa Obi-Wan drops it off at his house a little bit later. Of course, Owen brings that back to the Obi-Wan a little bit later. But let's see here. I wrote down a couple of things I want to make sure I hit on and get y'all's feedback on as I was looking through it. Now, was that 3PO that we saw in the background with that?
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we didn't get any interaction, but he was definitely a goldenrod, that's for sure. So we had another protocol droid that, cousin gives her a hard time for being nice to, but I definitely thought that was 3PO. But what about Flea, our main man Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, busting it up in there? Looks like he had some mod
He cracked
implants.
me up. I was like, man, he's all cracked out bad. Like that's just I don't know. That to me it's kind of painful, honestly.
Yeah.
To see it the way he portrayed his character there. But I mean, I get it if that's what he was doing, and then turn around and gets dusted inside that room. I was like, that was perfect.
He probably had some of those moments before.
Yeah.
But see, how old is Flea now? Because I mean, Red Hot Chili Peppers, they were big in the early 90s, right? Well, they're still going, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what Steve, you guys need to do a rock out loud with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and their influence on Star Wars or something.
I just don't care about Red Hot Chili Peppers, to be honest with you. Never been.
Never been. Yeah, same.
I
would have to say he's in his upper 50s.
What's that, William?
I said every movie he's ever been in, he's always that crazy like that.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. William's got that. What other movies you guys remember? What other things we've seen him in?
He's been in so many.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Even the lead
Flea.
singer.
Yeah.
Even the lead singer was in Married with Children.
But Flea's been in another sci-fi series that we're all familiar with. We'll leave it out there.
I can't remember all the movies he's been in, but he's been in a lot.
Back to the Future Part 2, Needles.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole fax, and he gets fired over fax and all that stuff. And then I think he may have been in 3 as well.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, because that was the reason he had the wreck and hurt his hand or something like that.
So, he was driving the truck.
Yeah.
Racing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he needs to stick with the music, but it's just no, but
even there.
Flea and I, we were watching it because we, like I said earlier, we stopped, waited and watched it with my boys, and we were watching that scene where little Leia's out in the woods, and here, he confronts her and all this stuff, and they chase her, and my boys are like, they're not really trying that hard. They're like, if you remember, they're like, oh, there's a log in the way. I can't get over the log. I mean, I know that, it was kind of humorous to watch the chase of them trying to pursue one. So
they like the slow-mo chase.
Yeah, the slow mo. You're exactly right.
At
Maybe
least they didn't bring out old Vespas and start chasing them.
yeah, the old Vespas, and that's that. The special effects associated with that.
I have to I need to come in real quick. I've done a lot of digging around here because I just want to get a definitive answer.
Oh, here we go.
The audio description when you're watching it, like the audio description for the seeing impaired, when you watch the movie with that on or the show with that on,
yeah.
It says they're cutting on a sand whale.
A sand whale.
A sand whale. And so I quick Google of Star Wars sand whale just brings up a couple of articles that really don't have anything to say about it, just people commenting on the fact that maybe, just maybe, Tatooine used to be covered with water. So
that's true. We've heard that before from Book of Boba Fett and other things.
Yeah. So these would be closely related to the air whales of Camino, maybe.
Maybe. Let's see. We've got some comments over on Facebook. I don't want to ignore those guys. Todd said a little earlier, it was quite a while ago, he thought he was going to see Grogu in that scene at the beginning with all the Padawans or the younglings to kind of tie it all together. Now, that would have been cool.
He was in a different part of the temple.
That's true. That's true. He got away too somehow. Ron says, does anyone think that R2 is buried outside of Ben's cave? Since the Centroscope keeps popping up. Droids? I don't seem to remember owning any droids. Maybe that's what's in play there. Where would R2 be? Because obviously we know 3PO's in Organa's household. So where could R2 be at this point?
R2 is on the Tantive 4.
Okay.
He's an astromech droid working on their starship specifically.
All right.
And 3PO, being the protocol droid that he is there in the house with the Organas. But when they start getting into the rebellion stuff, 3PO and R2 find each other once again and begin to work together and basically become counterparts.
Yeah.
Working on the Tantive 4.
I guess 3PO would have tagged along wherever Leia went, maybe.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's see. Edward says Knights of the Old Republic had air whales. Okay, yeah. So there you go. So it's a reference to that as well.
You know what? I take that back. I need to go to my actual dialogue from episode 4. 3PO says our last master was Captain Antilles.
Yeah, I was thinking Wedge, but
so what obviously happened is at some point between this and Star Wars, they both go to work on the Tantive 4. R2 probably already being there. Leia, because that becomes probably her flagship, basically has 3PO there and just kind of gives him over to the command of Captain Antilles.
Is it me, or does Steve just really has a nice voice that kind of calms you down? And he's like an encyclopedia of knowledge. It's amazing.
He don't tell him these things. Okay.
Well, no, listen, I used to, when I had about an 8-hour drive home from college back in the day. And if I got going late in the afternoon and it started to get dark and I'd start to get tired, because my default mode is when the car is moving, I won't, fall asleep.
Right.
And after I'd exhausted the radio, rolling the windows down and everything else to stay awake, I would just start out loud quoting Star Wars, the original Star Wars. Did you hear that? They shut down the main reactor. This is madness. Will be destroyed for sure. There's no escape for the princess this time. All that good stuff. And just see how far I could get or what I could remember of it. Because I'd seen those movies, that original trilogy, and I think all of us are this way of our general age. That original trilogy is just burned into our brains. I watched that thing on repeat the moment I had a chance to on VHS, and it's always been like comfort food to put in the original trilogy. So I feel like I know those movies backwards and forwards, and as we're kind of playing around in that era here, getting close to it, it's the kind of stuff I feel comfortable commenting on. Look, this show is doing a lot to upset a lot of what was assumed about the life of Obi-Wan. I think I would have rather seen this about 5 years out from Revenge of the Sith instead of 10, but that's neither here nor there. It's just an interesting kind of deal going on here, but so that's, I'm not trying to be the Star Wars snob, but I just, I just feel like if you've got to go back to Lucas's source material, George Lucas's source material is the key. And if something doesn't fit, then we need to say, here's why it doesn't fit, or how do we make that fit? You know, that kind of thing.
You know, it's funny, but I will share this with you guys. My you know, in 2017 or even in 2016, I came out to SteelCon, which is just not that far away from. And my first purchase of my collection started with the Legacy Falcon. And I had some other things along the way, but that really started to set off that journey, that rabbit hole that I come to find out now. Because basically, I had New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, The Return of the Jedi, and they were just movies to me that I really enjoyed. But now, you know, getting into these groups with you guys and other groups and everything, I started understanding, wait a minute, there's a bigger universe of this than I ever understood. And then I got into reading books and then the Rebels, and I'm going, wait a minute, what is all this? Yeah. It was the underground of something that I had no idea that was there. And now there's so many parts coming into play, kind of like, you know, the Obi-Wan movie. Like when I started in the beginning, when we all started this, it was a story about something that wasn't there, but I knew it was there. And it's now revealing itself, and it's just amazing. And that's just how deep I've gotten into this rabbit hole. The books, the stories, the Rebels, and I mean, the Clone Wars and everything else. And I'm starting to learn, you know, I started to learn more, and now I'm just way deep in it like quicksand. It's just, but it's the world that I wanted, because I enjoyed it so much that it was, once the Jedi came and went, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so what else is there to keep the story rolling? And I waited for so long until the prequels came. And I said, okay. And I got disappointed with the prequels. And then I just like enjoyed them. I really started looking at that process and putting storylines together. And it just made it so amazing so far. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. And that started in 2016. And it's incredible it took them this long to get to that universe that I really wanted, you know.
Yeah, Star Wars is a special place, I think, for all of us, because it does tie into those original movies that were part of our childhood that became, you know, our mythology, and then to see how it's blown up since then, and how they, you know, there's parts, you know, that we were like, I wish they wouldn't have gone this direction or that direction.
Right.
But then, you know, and I think Steve talks about this at times, you know, our own headcanon can kind of help steer things the way we want it to go and understand things as well. So it is definitely special. There's no doubt. What about it, RJ? You jumped in here while Jaime was talking. Good evening, sir. So,
well, I've been running into a lot of people. Hey, what's going on, brother?
What's that? Somebody was talking. I'm sorry.
I said, have y'all been running into people that are our age that's never seen Star Wars? I've run into like 20 of them in the last 2 weeks.
Yes. Yes.
What?
You know,
How do they think they're?
It's so saddening.
It's saddening.
They really don't know what they're missing. That's the way I describe it to people. I'm like, you know, you get sci-fi, right? Like, you're really missing out on all the, you know, the art to it, and really the imagination behind it, like, and how it can really be for people. And so I just tell them, man, it's just sad. I'm sorry.
It is.
It's crazy.
You're losing out.
Speaking of, you know, being anchored in the story of Star Wars and the lore of it and everything, what did you think after Bail Organa comes to Obi-Wan, convinces him, you know, one last time, you know, buddy, do it for all the feels. He goes out in the desert and he pulls out that box, and both of those sabers are there. What was going through your minds at that moment, dude? Wow.
At
Goosebumps. I hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah. My boys were like, why is it? I thought his saber was one. I was like, no, goofy kid. I thought you were mine. I was like, there's two sabers there. Remember the last time? I mean, he was there with Anakin, left him at Mustafar to burn, and he took his saber with him, and they've been buried since then. So, and then obviously we have that moment in A New Hope where he gives that other one to Luke. But yeah, that was a cool moment.
Well, you knew opening up that case was opening up the stories that we have known when we were kids.
Right. Yeah.
That was the beginning of everything that brought in New Hope and everything else. And it's just like to go back and go, oh my gosh, okay. They really added that and added the 3 movies in, by opening that case. And it was just, it was amazing, that moment. Yeah.
So you think of that, like what he told that one guy, what was his name, to tell him to go bury his saber.
Oh yeah, the guy that came up to him at night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, he's just like, bury the hatchet, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's done. We're defeated at this point. And you think about it. I think about it like, okay, so Obi-Wan knows something is coming, right? And that's kind of why he's there on Tatooine, to watch over Luke, and then has the Organas taking, care of Leia at that point. I look at it and I'm like, okay, so he has intuition. So where did he get this intuition at? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because that one guy, he's ready for Obi-Wan to help him. He's like, man, best way I can help you is to tell you to go bury that Joker.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, because he knows that there's going to be no success moving forward until like a certain point. And so it brings back even to like where in New Hope, like how does Obi-Wan know that he is to train Luke that whole time? And then when you come up into New Hope, like he's lost his mind. I mean, I don't know. It's
what's Robert commenting over here?
Colorado Avalanche. But
what?
I don't know if he's talking about the truck or an actual avalanche.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like,
Johnson, anybody see Maverick yet? Man, we don't get us down that road, buddy.
You're in the wrong.
We got so much to talk about. We'll have to do our own talking about that for sure.
Still afraid of this?
What's that?
There's a meme.
I said I'm still afraid of this, Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah. Well, there's definitely should be some reservations because we've seen that in the Disney era things can go south quick. So
there's 2 points to this. Leia didn't know Obi-Wan. She only knew their father. He served her father in the Clone War.
Right.
The second point is he's going to fight Vader again in this, and they don't fight until New Hope. That's the first time they met since Mustafar.
Well, that one's kind of open a little bit because in A New Hope, he says, you shouldn't have come back. So that gives the impression that there was some other time, maybe, possibly, between Mustafar and A New Hope.
That's where I say I think it would have been better to set this about 5 years after Revenge of the Sith instead of a whole decade. As far as Leia not knowing Obi-Wan, she's very formal in the message that she sends. You know, years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his rebellion against the Empire and all that good stuff. But when Luke shows up on the Death Star, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? He takes off his helmet. He says, my name's Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. She says, what? He says, I'm here with Ben Kenobi. We're here to rescue you. And she goes, Ben Kenobi, where? So obviously she knows the familiarity of his name, Ben. So there is a chance that she knows him previously. So I don't think her meeting him on this little adventure messes up anything done in the original canon. it just seems like, listen, we're all old men, and so we know 10 years isn't as long as 10 years used to be.
Oh yeah.
and so for it to be 9 or 10 years later from the time he last saw Vader, just it does seem a little soon. 10 years, it seemed, but I guess 10 years is a long time. I mean, there are people I hadn't talked to in 20 years, but it feels like I talked to him yesterday, you know. But it's a sticky wicket when you're dealing with the mythology of Star Wars and that sort of thing, to get too caught up in the time stuff. In fact, there's almost it's almost a thing that maybe a precedent that shouldn't have been set in the 90s with the books, you know, of giving such specific times and dates after something and before something, instead of just saying, well, this happens after Return of the Jedi. Well, this happens after the Thrawn trilogy, you know, this happens after, you know, and leaving the times a little more vague for the more, to kind of keep it in that legendary era, because we all thought as well when Obi-Wan and Luke are together that, you know, it'd probably been 30 or 40 years since the Jedi had been around. You know, like it seemed like a whole generation, not just a, you know, not just a couple of decades. So so if we're going to accept episode 3 happened 19 years before episode 4, I think we can accept that Vader and Obi-Wan met at least once more.
Right.
You know.
All of that goes out the window if you embrace the world between worlds. So that's sorry, I had to bring it up.
She knows that. Does she know that that's Obi-Wan? Does she know his name, or she just know he's a Jedi? I can't remember.
As far as
the
little girl right now in the Obi-Wan series,
she doesn't. She just knows him as Ben, because she tells him his name's Ben, and then she's questioning whether he's a Jedi, not until he saves her.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So she might not know that she's actually met in A New Hope. She might not know that she's already met him before.
Right. And it's kind of what Steve was saying about when Luke shows up and says, "I'm here with Ben." Yeah. That's when she's like, it resonates. Oh, wow. You know? So.
And what I was thinking is, it's amazing the research and trying to create the prequels and then the aftermath, and then, you know, or the movies behind After the Jedi, and the timelines and the research and the time it took for these writers to kind of put things together in every aspect, you know, from Rogue One, throwing Rogue One in, that was easier. But I think this Obi-Wan Kenobi series is a little bit harder and trickier, you know, and making sure that they hit everything spot on, you know, and that is that's creative writing and research and time and effort, you know, to just sit and not appreciate these series that are coming on, and Boba Fett as well, you know, and the Mandalorian, the timelines, just, it blows my mind how they just get, you know, these little things right, that you can almost ignore certain things, because Leia was young enough that she could have forgotten that time with Ben Kenobi, you know, too, you know. So, and that's I think that's what Steve's trying to say. I think, at least I believe that's what he's trying to say. But the writing is amazing. I mean, it's just, they put it well together, and it's just a great ordeal there.
Yeah.
Has anybody watched Yellowstone?
I've seen a little bit of it, and I had to turn.
Okay, the writer for that is supposed to be doing some of the Mandalorian stuff pretty soon.
Oh, okay. So that'll be an interesting take. Hopefully more people keep their clothes on in that then. So
well, yeah.
I don't like, you know, because Steve reminds me, as we talk about Star Wars, you know, kissing Star Wars is the same as whatever. So maybe there won't be too much kissing.
Right. Well, I want to go back to this Leia thing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, don't forget Leia's 10. Like, they were born on basically Empire Day, Luke and Leia. So they were born when everything ended. So this is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So she's a 10-year-old child. I think at 10 years old, I remember getting kidnapped and rescued by a Jedi. And that's why I say the name Ben Kenobi seems to resonate with her in that jail cell. And there are a lot of things that that have been well, I say a lot. There are a couple of things that have been retconned based on an actor's choice in those original movies. For example, Obi-Wan Kenobi hates flying. Well, why does he hate flying? Where did that come from?
That I can explain that one.
Well,
That one
if you
comes
look
from
at
the Master and Apprentice book.
Well, no. I'm talking about an Attack of the Clones. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Obi-Wan hates flying. Anakin says, "I've forgotten why you hate flying." Well, if you watch A New Hope, and when they're strapping in to take off from Tatooine, 3PO says, "I've forgotten how much I hate space travel." And Obi-Wan looks over in that direction and gives a nod, as if to say, "I agree with you."
Yeah.
And so George Lucas took that little moment and made it, well, Obi-Wan doesn't like to fly. Same thing with the dent on Jango's helmet. You know, George took the stormtrooper bonking his head in episode 4, coming into the room, bonking his head, and he made that, well, they don't have good peripheral vision. And so so Django doesn't duck enough and gets that dent. So it's stuff like that, they've taken stuff. So I can see where you take that choice from Carrie Fisher, Ben Kenobi, where, and turn that into, I remember him from 9 years ago. You know, that's kind of my point.
Yeah, just not to harp on this because and this is just a minor thing, but in the casting of this little girl, is it just me or she doesn't look like she's 10? She looks like she's a lot younger than 10 years old.
Yeah.
I guess because I have a 10-year-old in my house.
Yeah, I got a 9-year-old daughter, and she seems a lot smaller than her.
Oh, see, there you go. There's a whole different kind of thing. I had this great moment when I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call in and talk. I was just going to call in and listen.
Well, I'm glad you didn't call in. You just zoomed in. So
right. I had this great moment one time with some friends who were from out of town visiting with us. And we were downtown Rome, Georgia, going to get some ice cream. They had 2 kids. They had a son and a daughter. The daughter was 10 at the time. She barely came up to my belly button. She's just the cutest little thing. Just want to put her in your pocket and walk around with her. As we're going into this creamery, coming out of the creamery is a family from my church, and they too have a 10-year-old daughter who comes up to my shoulder, basically, like she's almost eye level with me at 10 years old. And the 2 girls are kind of sitting there talking, and I hear the one girl of my friends say, "Well, how old are you?" And the church member's daughter says 10, and she looks at her and says, "You're so tall." And I said, in that moment, there were 2 self-esteems that were absolutely shattered. You know, one thinking, I wish I was that tall, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm too tall. But I do buy that she's 10, just because, like, you know, if you're around a bunch of kids, you kind of see the differences in growths and that sort of thing. Because you know, but I think that she was actually like 9 or so when she filmed it. And Jake Lloyd was how old when he did Phantom Menace? He was 8 or 9. Yeah, he wasn't quite 10, I don't think.
All right. So to bridge the gap, I know we've only really talked about part 1 in our first half here. One of the things that has stood out to me, and kind of get y'all's feedback before we kind of dive a little deeper into part 2. You've heard a couple of comments, and it does bleed into part 2, that, you know, that the Jedi essentially are hunting themselves. You know, just kind of wait and see. They're going to reveal themselves. But I think the actual phrase is said that they hunt themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, Obi-Wan's already had that encounter with the Night Jedi, as we'll call him, you know, that you're go lead a normal life. You know, the days of the Jedi are over. You know, in part 2, when Obi-Wan's trying to rescue Leia and flee in his vagabonds, if you will, who got him trapped in there. He goes, you're no longer a Jedi. You're not a Jedi anymore. Look at you, got caught, you know, trying to rescue this girl. I mean, I can't believe that you fell for this. You know, even Leia questions him whether or not he's a Jedi. And then after he eventually does the Force reveal or rescues her, you know, she goes, "No, you are a Jedi." So this whole journey that's going on with him, you know, trying to figure out who he is, hunting himself, trying to discover his identity, and you know, and obviously that's going to be one of the overarching things that we see throughout this series. But I thought that was kind of cool how they weave that in, and just through the comments, Jedis hunt themselves. You're not a Jedi, and then for her to make that definitive statement once he does rescue her. But that was neat. So we get into part 2. He's now off world, off Tatooine. He's there on what is this place called? Dantooine or something like that, or what is it? Starts with a D. I can't remember. Dayu. That's where's Dantooine? That's somewhere else.
Dantooine is where Leia told him that the rebel base was, but she lied.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Liar. So it was kind of neat. Do you guys, did you guys see, I guess, online about the spice dealer that Obi-Wan encounters, who that is?
Mm-hmm.
His daughter.
Yeah, that was cool. And then I went back after I found that out. I watched it again, and their whole dialogue is, he comes up to her, "I'm looking for my daughter." It's like, oh yeah, and then they have this whole thing, and she says, "Well, I was once someone's daughter as well." I just thought that was kind of interesting. That was their interaction. It's kind of a cool little family get together there. What about the Jedi con man? What are some of y'all's thoughts on this dude? I mean, we've seen him in his character and a bunch of other different things. So this actor, he kind of has that same persona, if you will. But what do you think about the Jedi con man? What was happening with him and some of his storylines? Any thoughts?
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
He cracked me up. Like just like blatantly, like how he was trying to get the credits and everything else that he could, and just how he orchestrated really the illusion like of acting like a Jedi, right? And how many people are probably involved. Like you think about it, that would take like maybe 10 people at least, and then have some ends with some others.
Oh yeah, his ruse.
So he had to have people in on cuts of things. Mm-hmm. So whatever he made, like they all got shares of it.
And how hard he was selling it too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And then to risk his life.
That's the thing too. Yeah.
Like being completely selfless in it. Like it's almost like he really wanted to be a part of that. Yeah, and
he probably grew up hearing all the stories. Somebody in his family was friends with a Jedi or saved by one, and I think we've heard aunts and uncles where talk about war stories or something as kids, and we're like, "We're joining the army." And then you get older, and you're like, "Oh no, never mind, I changed my mind." He was wanted to be the Jedi.
So that makes me think. I'm like, okay, so is he one of the younglings that lost his way, right? Because those younglings, I mean, they're about the same age as, or he's about the same age as, what's her name? The Inquisitor.
Reva.
Reva. He's about the same age as Reva.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she might be a year younger or whatever, but I mean, you look at them, they resemble closely. So I'm looking at him like, maybe he did, and like he didn't have anybody to teach or train him how to do these things, but here he's got a way of making a living, and he feels like he belongs in that. So
yeah, it's kind of odd because, like you said, he's definitely putting himself out there because I mean they're hunting Jedi, but he's also making some cash, some coin on it.
Yeah, definitely. And to think of it like Reva goes to him like and like senses that he has no power.
Yeah,
you're not a Jedi.
Does I'm like Ren action on him, read his thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, so maybe that's not the case. I don't know. It was just really intriguing to me to see somebody that was that low life, so to say, trying to make a buck off of somebody else that was in a bind or whatever, and to kind of sacrifice himself in a way.
Yeah.
So
it was neat. Even obviously his magnets and all this stuff, and Obi-Wan confronts him that, but even his wardrobe was like a bad Halloween costume. Like the cut was like the short robe and all this stuff. It was just like a mockery of what a Jedi would be. But
right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I wonder, I'm like, okay, what more is about this guy? Yeah. Like there's got to be a lot more about him than just this. So I'm kind of interested to see in this character what's going to unfold for him.
And he's a big name actor, so I think that we'll probably see him again. Well, what about the whole, because he was helping the mom and the son get away. Do you think that was just part of his whole con, just trying to help these families identify their kids have powers so he can get more money, or do these kids actually have abilities and he's helping them escape?
We'll see, and that was part of it. Like that's kind of like what he's trying to do. He's trying to help people that may not necessarily, that are in that bind, that try to get away from those people that are trying to chase and hunt them down and keep them on the move, so to say. Kind of like a smuggler's run. Yeah, exactly. Reminds me of a Han Solo, literally.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's exactly who it kind of reminds me of, like trying to get that dollar, to continue to move forward with life, but in the same sense, like having other people to help orchestrate everything.
Robert just mentioned that. Was the kid Han Solo?
Oh yeah, I don't. Timeline doesn't match up with that one.
No, but
Yeah.
he just asked that.
Yeah,
which is kind of weird.
Because this should be about the time Solo starts, right? 10 years before A New Hope.
Right? Yeah, I think you're right about that. So yeah, he's just got.
I see those of you out there who put on a cape for me.
What?
That really doesn't mean
What?
What is that? Somebody put a cape on. What?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm doing some research. I apologize. I thought I was still muted.
Steve is. I don't know what he's watching. Oh, he's probably listening to Reva out there. She's giving some interview.
Yeah, I mean, so he kind of reminds me of that, of like a Han Solo type person. It's going to benefit him more so, but he's not afraid to like go out on a limb.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of like, again, intrigued by him, just kind of the way he is. I mean, without having any powers or anything like that, he
does the right thing. I mean, in the end, he helps Obi-Wan and Leia get away. So, so we got this guy who's a new character, which, like Thor, I think we're going to see him again. I mean, just kind of interesting. Obviously, in part 1 and part 2, we learn more about Reva, the third sister Inquisitor. Man, I don't know how, I'm kind of mixed on this, but I feel like this series is going to be a lot about her more than, it's going to be about Obi-Wan and filling in some holes and with that, but I think a lot about her story is going to be in focus here too. And, as I noted a little earlier, I'm convinced she was one of those younglings in that opening shot in the Jedi, whatever deal when they're fleeing the Jedi Temple, when they're fleeing, they kind of focus in on her, a little girl that would look like her at that age. Then that interaction that first off, she's vicious. I mean, she's just, when we talked about that, cuts a lady's arm, her hand off in the marketplace. Yeah. The other guys were threatened. She just walks up and just cuts the thing off.
Singeing the dude's arm.
Yeah. So
the owner, what was it? The owner of the bar.
Oh yeah, that's right. Just kind of cuts right into his was it in his arm or the Jedi's arm? It was actually the Jedi's arm.
Oh, was it? Jedi's arm.
Yeah, but then the Grand Inquisitor force pushes her off.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we to make of this type of behavior? She's ready just to kick butt and take names later, I guess, or kill and take names later. So
I think there's definitely a deeper and it's not even an animosity against. I think it's going to go deeper than an animosity against Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think she's trying to move up the ladder, kind of. She talks about Vader and stuff like that too, and I think she's trying to be his second, where he's. I don't know, where they're thinking maybe they can take over take the Emperor out. I don't know. Maybe she can move up.
Yep.
Maybe she can be the next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that power hungry struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But think about it. What does a Sith try to do?
Yeah.
Try to take power, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it in that light. Like, okay, is she trying to up rank so this way she can get closer to Vader to kind of maybe dethrone Vader, because she knows he's Anakin Skywalker, who probably killed some of those kids that were friends with her.
There's my problem. Boom, right there.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Jump on what Thor just said. Go ahead, Steve.
I don't like the name Anakin Skywalker being bandied about and people knowing he's alive. Yeah, I don't like that at all. There's been some other theories. The people just don't think about the timeline sometimes in the movies and everything. There's been some other theories that yes, she's one of the younglings there, and she was bitter because Obi-Wan's message caused her not to be rescued. But Obi-Wan and Yoda didn't make that message until they got back to the temple to change things, and so they would have run into her, or they something. It's like she can't do that. This thing of knowing Anakin, that just I bristled at hearing someone who has never been around, who's nothing but an Inquisitor. The Inquisitor should not have that knowledge. They just should not have that knowledge. And I'm not a fan of that. So that's
well, she even said it and because remember when Obi-Wan was across the way,
right?
And she said it you didn't know,
right? And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm fine with Obi-Wan finding out, but all Obi-Wan had to hear was the name Darth Vader, and he would have known.
Oh yeah, he would have known because
that was made clear in the dialogue in Revenge of the Sith when Yoda tells Obi-Wan, the boy you trained is gone, consumed he is now with Darth Vader. So that Obi-Wan, all he had to hear was the name Vader, and that was it. For her to just flippantly mention Anakin Skywalker, Vader should kill her for that.
Yeah,
that's So
well, you say that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Whoever. Go ahead.
Oh, so when they kind of talk. Well, the way she kind of talks, it's like she is, in contact with Vader. She, they're more on a personal level than just an acquaintance or whatever, or a knowledge or just knowledge. But they act like that it's a personal level.
Mm-hmm. You see, that's one of the thoughts I've heard people kind of throwing out there, that kind of in that whole Galen Merrick kind of thing, with Force Unleashed, that she's actually a secret apprentice of Vader, and then she has some little more inside information. I'm not crazy about that, but some people have proposed that, how she knew Anakin's name. But
I don't think that would be the case as an Inquisitor. The Inquisitors are not necessarily apprentices. They're more of like a little force
enforcer.
Yeah, they're more like enforcers.
Oh, I agree completely, but this could be something under the books. I mean, under that something secret happened. Now, I'm not saying I'm embracing.
I don't like. She wouldn't be the third sister if that were the case.
But here's
the Grand Inquisitor.
Go ahead, RJ.
In some of the books, Vader has always used people, made them think that they were better than they were. They were higher ranking than their place they actually were, and he just terminated them when he was done with them. Like Doc Alpha, he thought he had killed her that time. There was different hands that the Emperor had that Vader was kind of like, hey, he's the old guy. Let me show you the ropes over here, how it really works. Then he'd give him to do some stuff for him and he'd kill him. He always kind of made people think they were higher than their position actually was. And I wonder if that's what he's doing with her.
Maybe. The other thing that I heard some guys talking about was, obviously she's confronting him. He's in hiding. And she talks about how I can sense your fear. And then she brings up, the whole Lord Vader thing. And then obviously it's weighing on him, like Steve said. And, he knows what that means. Lord Vader is alive. He's looking for you or whatever. But in his weakened state, does his heart bring up the name Anakin? And then she reads that herself. And then she kind of puts another, I guess, stab into his heart. Oh, he knows who Lord Vader is. And I mean, maybe that's overplay a little bit. But, I don't know. Maybe we'll get some answers as to why she knows why she knows who Lord Vader is.
She's look. I don't want to get negative here.
Don't do it.
She's going to know Anakin because she is a Disney created character, and she is so powerful and unstoppable, and she's the greatest Inquisitor anyone has ever seen, and she knows everything, and there's nothing that can stop her.
You have an opinion about that, Steve?
I'm on the fence.
I'm on the fence.
She's not really. I don't think she's really an Inquisitor yet because she's not started turning. She's just on the cusp of being an Inquisitor.
Listen, that's the bad cosplay makeup they've done with these people. Yeah. I'm sorry. When you have the person who did Vincent Price's egghead makeup from '66 Batman trying to make the Utapau and Grand Inquisitor, And then the bad cosplay of the other brother. It just, I'm sorry, the makeup in this show is not good. The alien use was horrible. I don't mean to go so negative all of a sudden. I mean, like, it took a turn, quick,
turn
no,
from
but I'm just saying, like, it's the dark side for me there with that. I'll tell you what I told my buddy Dave Jones the other day. I said, I said Obi-Wan should basically be helping locals while keeping his identity secret, with the threat of discovery ever looming until he's finally nearly discovered and leaves to protect Luke from being found. He fakes his death in battle with an Inquisitor or Vader or whoever and is able to return. But as it stands, Obi-Wan hung out for 10 years, apparently had a big adventure, then 5 years later gets tracked down by Darth Maul and Ezra. Let's not forget that. 5 years after that, he tells Luke the Jedi are pretty much extinct, and as Yoda lay dying, he tells Luke he's the last of the Jedi. Meanwhile, there's no telling who may really be flitting around out there with the whims of the story team whenever they decide they want to further water down the rich mythology and the hero's journey that is Star Wars. And so Dave texts back, so you loved it. And I said, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. And I'm on the fence because of, they do all this great stuff. Like that first episode was really, it was really good. And I think it set up a lot of neat things. The second episode was very Disney Star Wars. And that's not a compliment, honestly, from me to Star Wars. I'm glad for people to have different opinions, and I'm not saying I'm right on my opinion, but my personal opinion is Disney Star Wars has been weak for the most part. And especially if it's not Filoni in the driver's seat a lot of times. And even Filoni is kind of going down a path now where it's like, yeah, I'm right. So, I'm in a wait and see kind of mode to see how things go. Listen, I'm just like every other Star Wars fan in the world. The minute Darth Vader walks on screen,
oh yeah,
there's a lightsaber fight, I'm like, I don't care about the story. It's Darth Vader and Ben Kenobi fighting. Who cares?
That's why we're watching this. So
yeah.
Well, they're really trying to shove this Reva character down our throats too. Really, they've come out with a ton of stuff for all of a sudden. The new HasLabs or Saber and everything else. It's crazy.
That's what I noticed. It's like they released a Black Series, a Vintage Collection, and a Retro Collection Reva. We've got one Black Series Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And a Black Series Grand Inquisitor, right? And done.
Well, yeah, we've got Grand Inquisitor and the other two as well.
Right.
But you got that, like the HasLab Saber too, add on top of that.
I don't think that's gonna make. I really don't. So, but that's
$500 for that 6-foot saber, man.
No, it's not.
Would it be? Let me ask you guys this: if Hasbro came out and did a 6-foot saber, and it was Maul's lightsaber, and it was the same price point, do you think it would do better?
They already have, haven't they? The Legacy sabers.
I don't think that it would sell like it would now. They've. I don't know why they stabbed themselves. I collect sabers. I don't know why they stabbed themselves in the foot with a HasLab of making her saber. When they've offered all other sabers, without being the HasLab. It makes it makes no sense at this point. There's nothing that they can give along with it that's going to, initiate more interest in it. There's nothing that they can do.
Right. You can't make stretch goals for a lightsaber. That's true.
They said there's not any.
Unless you start doing the whole cosplay suit and you have an Inquisitor suit.
They won't. No, the size.
I'm just saying. Yeah. But I don't think it would be like that, because that would be astronomical in price.
William, by the way, we did catch your pun when you said stab yourself in the foot when you're talking about lightsaber.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you credit for that.
Well, and it's like you said, they've done these legacy sabers before with all these things, and they've been pretty high priced. They're premium. Yeah. They're premium things. This isn't a toy.
No.
That they would normally put on a toy shelf somewhere to be back. This is a premium, kind of thing. I just look, you can see who they want everyone to love by the product they're putting out, and they want everyone to love this third sister character, and she hasn't earned the love. She just hasn't. You don't earn that in two episodes of a television show.
No.
Well, Yeah.
The price point of the saber is really there. You know, if you look at it, like, you know, Assad Ventress, you got to buy 2 for her you know, character and stuff like that. The price point's really there. And just like a Maul saber, you had to buy 2 to put together. The price point's there, but it's still all in, you know, in people's mind, that's just way too much.
Robert's comment is the third sister is lamer than my first sister. So
I mean, I like how ruthless she is. You know, don't get me wrong there. Like, and just how she, you know, they're making her out as brilliant as she is current. But yeah, it takes more than just 2 episodes.
But here's the thing. She doesn't come across to me as ruthless. She comes across as bitter.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference, you know.
Yeah.
It's one thing just to be ruthless, Lex Luthor-esque in the way that you go about in cold. It's another thing to just be almost a whiny kind of character. And I just don't think that, you know, if she's going to be cold and she's going to be ruthless, then be cold and ruthless. But I don't think it makes the character more nuanced to be like, whatever she's got going on with her that she's mad about, because that's coming through clearly.
She's just bitter because she's been passed over. I think, you know, she's been passed over a lot. That's what it's coming off to me.
And she's been passed over because why? She's a woman. Is that what that what we're to believe?
I mean, those comments we get from the Grand Inquisitor. You're the least of us. They rescued you from the gutter. You only got your station because of your abilities and your power. You know, it can't, you know, mask you know, your stench.
But isn't that why you want the station? Is abilities like my talent is enough to put me here?
Well, I think
overcome every other shortcoming to be here.
Well, I think part of that's going to come into play about her being originally a Jedi or something like this. Going to come into her origin story, I'm sure, and that's what's going to develop through this series.
And okay, and here's my thing, and I'm once again I'm monopolizing the conversation. I'm sorry, guys.
You're good, man.
I don't care about her origin story.
That's what you're going to get in the series, though. I'm going to be honest.
I know, I agree 100%, but I don't care about her origin story. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've got a young Princess Leia. We've got adventures that can be had and going on. Like these Inquisitor characters should be side characters at best. They should be plot drivers, not central characters, especially with that last shot of the second episode. The moment Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, you think about Rogue One. Let's go to the Rogue One movie. We go through that whole movie. Do we like Jen? Sure, Jen's okay. We get her. We love K2SO. We're down with the rest of the crew. We like seeing the crew come together. We're kind of sad that they all die. But then all of a sudden, with literally a minute and a half of footage, a black room and a red lightsaber lights up. The rest of the movie does not matter. All we care about is we just watched Darth Vader break bad on this spaceship and they barely got away with their lives.
Yes.
That's all we cared about when that movie was over. I'm sorry. We could talk about it till the cows come home, but the big thing we cared about was that. Same thing when Force Awakens was out. It was fun, but the minute Han Solo comes on screen, all we care about is Han Solo and Chewbacca. And then once he's dead,
already in the refrigerator,
and it's all over, all we care about is Luke at the top of that mountain. And that's not a slam on Rey or Finn or Poe. I thought they did Finn and Poe very well.
Yeah.
But these characters that have been around for now 40 plus years are the ones that matter. And so these little Inquisitor babies, I don't care. You know, same thing happened in the Rebels. The minute they brought Vader into Rebels, nothing else mattered.
Oh, you're right.
It's like Darth Vader's on the scene. And so, yeah, I'm sure this girl is great. I'm sure she's a nice person. I have nothing against her. I'm not sold on this character at all. And I'm definitely not sold on her enough to buy a Black Series figure, a vintage collection figure, a retro collection figure, and back a HasLab for her lightsaber.
No.
Because Steve has such an affinity for the Inquisitors.
Yes, I love them.
What'd you guys
think about the game, man? Come on. You ever play the game?
Well, even if they build her origin story, just how far can it go? Because it's going to end in about 4 episodes.
Yes, she's done.
Where can it go?
Yeah.
Where can it go?
She's
They're putting all this money into this character that's going to just go away.
Yeah.
William, she's going to get novels. She's going to get her own show. She's going to be the acolyte. Don't you know that's who that is? She's the acolyte. Forget Knights of the Old Republic.
I hear you. She's just, it just seems to me that they're throwing a whole bunch of money on a figure and or a person or a character or whatever just to have it end in such a short time. It makes no sense.
Well, speaking of
what they're talking about, season 2.
Yeah, well, we're talking episode 2. So,
No, I was talking about season 2 of Obi-Wan. They're talking about
because the way he commented at Celebration that there's going to be more after 6.
There doesn't need to be.
Yeah, the way this is headed, we'll see. But here's the thing, because I wanted to get to this, and then we're going to look at some of the new product reveals, and we'll call it a night. What did you think about the fact she stabs a Grand Inquisitor, which we know he's going to make it out because we have him in Rebels?
I don't think that's the same Grand Inquisitor.
Well, see, that's not right too. Because
his head's not right, his teeth aren't right.
My 10-year-old who loves the Rebels and stuff like that, he saw it. He goes, "What? That can't happen." So he was.
He didn't see that coming.
What's that, Johnny?
I said he must have not seen that coming.
No.
Well, he was a poor Grand Inquisitor, is all I can say.
Yeah, Reva was doing all kinds of stuff out from under him. So, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to stick around. I'm sure he survived that. So Vader can be, shish kebabbed, and
he's going to go move in with his sister and brother-in-law, the Addams family, and hang out with them, and put light bulbs in his mouth and line him up. Uncle Fester.
That all makes sense. You're so right, Steve.
I read an article today that was comparing Star Wars to Star Trek. Why is it that Star Wars fans, we've got to have our, the likeness of the same character all through the show, all through the series, where Star Trek, they can replace Spock like 3 times and Captain Kirk 2 or 3 times. And the show still goes on. And it's just weird that Star Wars can't do the same thing. They brought up Han Solo, the Solo story, and how they brought Luke's likeness into the Mandalorian and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Well, I think that it depends on how well it's done. Yeah. Everyone points to Han Solo, but no one talks about the fact that that Glover did a great job as Lando.
Oh, he sure did.
So there you go. I think that they should have started maybe with some recasting sooner, so that we get in that mindset where things can be recast, and that way we'd as fans would let some things go. That's my opinion on the matter. I think that they almost have to do some recasting. Here's what I really think Disney wants to do down the road. I think they want all these original cast members to die off, so they can just reboot and remake the original Star Wars.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Well, no, it went on in the article saying that from here on out that she's done said she's in charge of Star Wars, that she's going to use CGI on those new characters. Like when they make Leia or Han Solo, if they make another Han Solo again, it's going to be Harrison Ford's face on that person, on that figure.
Well, they've got the deep fake type technology and everything, but also what they've said is, what she actually said, her quote was specifically, "We're not recasting."
Yeah.
And so, but at some point they're going to run out of stories to tell, and they're going to be like, let's just remake the old ones.
Yeah.
And let's reboot.
All right. So our last shot, Steve's already kind of mentioned it. We've got Obi-Wan. He's on the transport and he calls out to Anakin, and we see the eyes open. And now that sets us up for part 3, which drops, I guess, early tomorrow or late tonight, however you want to see that. So that's where we'll be plugging in. So it'll be, I think it's going to be a good show. There's obviously some question marks that we're watching. Hopefully they don't exploit too much. But I'm like what you guys are saying. As soon as we see Vader, Obi-Wan lock up, I think we'll all be. I mean, just like seeing little Princess Leia running around, her getting the little green pullover deal, the gloves.
It reminds me of those. So what she's wearing, reminds me of the what was that little doll series that they did?
Oh, Galaxy Adventure? No, or something like that. But I know what you're talking about. They came with a droid or an Ewok or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. It reminds me of those.
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of Destiny.
Yes. So
Those
reminds me of those outfits.
Do you collect all those, Thor?
No.
Speaking of collecting, let's look real quickly at some of the reveals from Celebration. We won't go into the Reva stuff because I know Steve's excited about it, and I don't want to get him too excited. But because that was all revealed.
Sorry.
Before. No, you're good.
I'm sorry.
I'm just picking at you, dude. All right, so we get this. We've got 4 new archives. I really didn't think there was a need for Force Awakens Solo. I'm not real sure why they went the direction with this. So, is it a new
adult diaper Han?
Oh, yeah, it's old man Han, man. Come on, they did an old man. I mean,
now I was excited about the Leia, so because it's been a while since we had this figure, and I think they redid like height wise and some things on it. I'm not so sure it looks like Leia though. Yeah, so we've got that. Let's see what else. Tarkin. It hasn't been that long, has it?
No.
And he wasn't that super rare, I don't think. So
no.
I'm not real sure why they went that direction either. Chewbacca. I mean, I'm a Chewie fan. You guys know that. I mean, this is Chewie's Cantina, but
why is there a Chewbacca released every single time there's a new wave of figures?
I had no idea. And honestly, if you're going to redo it, redo his face or something. I mean, this one's, I don't.
Yeah.
I did see a new pop out, a Target. It's not Target exclusive, a con exclusive Chewbacca pop out.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't find the pop out, the pops that were released. Maybe that's
if you want, I'll be able to hook you up next time I'm there.
Yeah. Let me see that. Now, what about this? The concept Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
Hated it.
Hey, I saw Thor. You said you really just wanted the Vader out of it.
Yeah, I'll take the concept Vader. He could have left it as a single. Like I would have definitely. I mean, I'll probably get on it, but I would really just want it just for the Vader.
Yeah.
Well, the comic book, well, the art is more towards the Vader too than it is the Obi-Wan. And I don't know. All of it was a hard pass for me. So
this is the McQuarrie stuff, I would assume. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the McQuarrie.
Yeah. Because this is going to cost you $50 at least. So
with having 2 in there, of course.
All right, let's see what else we got. So here's some of the Inquisitors. We saw them.
What is he? Is he like, what brother is he?
Is he 5th or?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Can't remember. I know Rena's 3rd, and that's.
He's the 5th.
5th. He's the 5th.
Jackie Chan right there. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Now he's meant to be the same character that was in Rebels, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the 5th brother.
Yeah, 5th brother.
The guy playing him is Sung from the Fast and Furious series.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And and I guess it was it may have been Adam Bray talking about this because Steve, you commented a little bit on the makeup issue.
Right.
And I think Adam was saying maybe on Rule of the Galaxy sometime back, or maybe it was on Rebel Force Radio. One of the reasons, like for these guys and the Grand Inquisitor and some of the others, where they don't look exactly or look more like the comic version, or excuse me, the animated version, is because these are bigger name actors and they need to be recognizable.
I pushed back on that this way.
Yeah.
Well, I've got several things to say. That one, Eddie Murphy voiced Donkey in Shrek. Donkey don't look like Eddie Murphy.
Right. They're also in a different age now, too. Honestly. Yeah.
Number two, when you look and see what an Utapawan looks like.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's not about looking like the character. It's about looking like the species. It's about looking the proper race. Sure. 5th brother's fine. He just looks like bad cosplay to me. Right. And I'm sorry, like you just got told that he was a dude from the Fast and the Furious. I don't know that. I've never seen Fast and the Furious. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like the minute someone tells me, hey, you're in Star Wars, well, my makeup better be where I can be seen as who I am. Okay, we'll find someone who doesn't care about that.
Right, because there's a line of people that want to be in Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we got this. I don't know which sister she is, but she's. So you're going to get all the Inquisitors. Well, the ones we've seen thus far from Kenobi are coming your way if you're collecting the Black Series. Then here's the Grand Inquisitor. So,
Oh yes. I mean, he looks like a bad custom. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, I think you're right with like wanting him to look like the animated series, maybe longer head or something. You
like
know,
the Utapau, as Steve.
Oh, he's an Utapauan. Go watch episode 3, and the guy that tells Obi-Wan, "There's no war here." That's an Utapauan. They've got the big old head.
And
in the Joel's
live
teeth.
action in Revenge of the Sith. So yeah.
I usually try to get them to put one of my posters and stuff like that, but I'm just going to have to pass on these.
Yeah. Well, then we got Ayla Secura. She was revealed. So that, if you're getting all the Jedi, she looks like she'd be a good addition.
Is this the first time Black Series for her?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good.
Then we run into the Vintage Collection, Obi-Wan, which are hoping they were going to come out with. We know they came out with a Black Series. We saw it earlier. But here he is. He's got his blaster, his saber. He's got the Lola. Looks like a couple of different Lolas. And then just the hilt. Which, his robes were kind of like the, I don't know, like the sporty Jedi robes he was wearing, because they look like Jedi robes, but the sporty version.
They were sporty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love his look, and I like that figure. That's a good looking figure.
Yeah. That'll be a purchase for sure. At least for me.
I like that artwork.
Yeah.
The picture.
Oh, dude. I'm so excited about these figures. And I know they're going to cost an arm and a leg. So the Dark Troopers, and they'll come in the box, much like, the Ahsoka boxes, this like this, but you can buy multiple and their bays hooked together. So
you can only be able to buy 2.
Yeah, I was going to say you might be able to buy 2, and
that's true. You'll buy 2 at one time, but eventually maybe you can find some more to hook up. Now, all this, and my understanding is all this goes up for pre-order tomorrow, the 1st, around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that's
all. Right. The Dark Troopers should have come in a pack like the Stormtroopers and
all
that stuff. They all should have come in a pack. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, that would have been cool.
That way you could have ordered 2 packs and had the whole scene.
I'm done with the prototype stuff, guys. This is honestly, I've never collected them. I mean, I got 1 or 2 and then I got rid of them, but I'm not real sure what's going on with this one. This is like the Snow Speeder, but we didn't get the Snow Speeder figure until recently in one of the games.
Yeah, it was a game.
Yeah,
and that was meant to be Wedge, wasn't it, or Dak?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. So,
but I mean, the great thing about that vintage style is they can be anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
These things look to me. I understand what they're meant to be, the prototype, but they always look to me like the old Play-Doh Star Wars set where you would just take different colored Play-Doh and make the little figures out of it.
Well, I feel like you should be able to open it and use it and then just draw with it. That's
yes, it looks like a crayon for sure.
Yeah, which I guess the Vader is probably the most. It was the first, but I feel like it's been the one that was harder to find than the other.
Does anyone know how they? Because I know there are people that look for like the color variations on them.
Yeah, there's 6 different ones.
6. Okay.
You were kidding me.
Yeah.
No,
folks
Golly, Hasbro.
There's 6 different ones.
So we just
like Vader, just like Boba and stuff like that. There'll be 6 different ones.
So the first one was Vader, and then Boba, and then the Stormtrooper, and now Chewbacca, which hadn't come out yet, has been pre-ordered and sold out, and now this one.
Yeah,
interesting.
Are y'all into these? Like, who's into these?
I have 2.
I tried for a while. I tried to collect them for a while, but then it started. Like I said, there's 6 of each one, and there's certain ones that are harder to get than others. And
what's the appeal, guys, on these for y'all? I'm genuinely curious.
I tell you what, if they come out with a Mando of this, I would be on board.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like the Vader and the Boba Fett, those are the only 2 I have, and we'll probably only.
Is that Thor? Is that because they're the characters that you like?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I was only tempted by the Stormtrooper. I had one, but I got rid of it, and that's because of my Stormtrooper display.
I agree, Rob.
I'm not a fan of those, but if they made an R2 one, I'd have to have it.
Oh, you would.
Well, I tried with the Vader to get all 6 of them, and I couldn't. So I just
gotta
gave
go,
up on them.
I gotta go.
Would be interesting.
But I do have a question for Steve.
Oh, here we go. The resident expert's got a question.
Yeah, that's right. How is it possible for Cassian to die in the Elysium movie and still end up in Rogue One? I'm just messing with you guys. I gotta go.
I don't guess I got it. I don't know what movie you're
He's
talking
just
about.
messing.
Oh, Elysium.
Oh, Elysium.
I mean, he was in Elysium and he died in that movie, but I'm just curious how he ended up in Rogue One. Anyway,
he is a good agent.
The whole what is the time between times or whatever?
World between worlds.
Right. Hey, Steve, thank you so much for being part of this.
Oh man,
your knowledge that you bring really brings good conversation, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been talking about Star Wars for all my life. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I just really dig that. So I'm gonna go ahead and log off, guys. I gotta go. I gotta get up early in the morning, but it's been fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jaime. Take care, buddy.
You guys,
brother.
Bye.
Bro.
Good night.
Well, good night.
I think we had one more reveal. I think. Yeah, we've already talked about this bad boy. So what did we say? It was a $500.
There's one more, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's 500.
Yeah, there may have been some more. I think this mail that I had, but yeah, and I think the last I looked, they're still short 800. I think they haven't hit 800 yet.
What I just looked a minute ago, there was 833.
Oh, so they have passed it now. Okay.
Yeah.
And their goal is
33 with 41 days left to go.
And their goal is 5,000, right?
5,000.
Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they hit it, but what do I know? Oh, then you got Lola. Lola. Yeah. You're going for that, Thor?
I think I am gonna go for that.
I'm
It's
probably-
pretty cute. The only problem I have with it, exactly.
Right.
So that's what it reminds me of. But it's also like you look at it, it's got Disney written all over that.
Yeah. It even looks like
You can see the ears,
Yeah.
right? The face. So I'm guessing that's kind of gonna be Disney's big kick on this thing.
Oh yeah, Lola will be all over everything in Galaxy's Edge and beyond. So
Good. I'm tired of looking at Grogu.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
that's right.
Yeah.
On the Grogu.
Yeah, same colors, right?
Oh, and I forgot about that too. The artillery stormtrooper. Again, another stormtrooper.
Now that's up Lucas's alley right there. He loves
Yeah, I'm
helmets.
tempted. If I do it,
I'm
going
gonna
to
get that
all
one.
of them. So,
Yeah, I'm going to get that one, but I'm begrudging against it.
yeah,
That's the best thing that's come up all night.
yeah, it's nice. It's good looking, that's for sure. So what you're
I'm
looking
just tired of the repaints when there's so many other helmets they can
Yeah,
make.
I agree. I mean, because you've got the regular stormtrooper, that one. You've got the shock trooper,
Mm-hmm.
inferno trooper,
Mm-hmm.
artillery trooper. This is it. The shadow trooper. They've got that one too.
Yeah,
What
Yeah.
else? Did I miss one?
Did they do Rex?
that's all of them. Yeah, that's all of them on that same mold.
Yeah. Oh, we're back to the beginning there. But yeah, that's
There was one on there that didn't get shown.
what was that?
The one that was like special for people that were at the show.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that one.
What was the celebration exclusive this year?
Oh, the Dave Filoni. John Favreau.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mandalorian, heavy Mandalorian.
Yeah. Chris sent me